It is kid cuisine time. I'm going to be repairing this boy on camera. As you can see, he is mute and he does not have, and he's missing an eyelash. So I have the replacements over here, and I'm going to be helping him. This is the repair of the lovely Kid Cuisine Furby. The first thing that I'm going to do is take out his batteries, because it's difficult to repair a squirming child. I like to wait till they stop moving. Hey, there we go. Out like a light. Nice clean battery pack. I cleaned his battery pack off screen because I knew it would take a long time. Here's what I used. I used a lovely nice toothbrush. I used vinegar to dissolve the corrosion, and then I used isopropyl alcohol to clean off the vinegar. So his battery pack is nice and clean. And I'm sure you're wondering what the very bright light is. I am wearing a headlamp. It is dark in my room. Kid Cuisine. And I'm going to open him up. The first thing I'm going to do is replace his speaker. The second thing I'm going to do is clean his contacts. And the last thing I'm going to do is replace his eyelash. I am also going to oil this Furby's motor, so you can consider this an oiling tutorial. Generally, JT Furby's... Ooh, yes, I gotta get that screw out. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where did that other one go? I've already lost a screw. Dang it. That is okay. I have got a giant bowl of screws. There we go. So there's 5 screws here, and there's 6 holes for screws. Let me see. No, that one was close enough. Yeah, that one's close enough. There we go. He's got all 6 screws. So many Furbies lose screws. But don't worry, I put them all back each time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're ready to start. Off comes the shell. Careful with that little node right there. Where is my... The inside is usually dusty, so I like to clean off the inside of the shell. Clean the outside of the shell. I'm going to do that with the other side too. And then I'm going to put it aside with the screws. And don't forget this piece. It's what does it go? It goes back here. There's 3 pieces to the shell. Here's all 3. Don't forget about them. I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in with the shell and put them back here so I don't lose anything. And we're on to helping this boy out. Furbies are generally pretty dusty, so I like to dust them before I begin cleaning. Really make an effort to try and keep your cleaning utensil off the circuit board. You don't want to scratch the circuit board up. He is not very dusty. That is a good sign. I used to have a can of air to help me, but they've become increasingly difficult to find. All right, let's go ahead and replace the speaker. Should be a generally easy fix. Okay, my utensil of choice. Gotta be gentle. This part always racks my nerves because it's right next to some circuits. Gentle pressure. Wiggle like you're pulling out a tooth. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Hey, there, perfect, perfect. There we go. All right. Old speaker. I'll put that way back there. And here's the new speaker. I am actually going to clean, see, because this isn't just a speaker, it's the new tickle sensor as well. And sometimes the tickle sensor doesn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the tickle sensor. Isopropyl alcohol, 90%. It dries the fastest. Add a little bit of that to a cloth of some sort, right? And then you push that down underneath the two little plates. There we go. Right, there's two plates that touch on the inside of the sensor. You're going to want to shove that little alcohol-soaked cloth between them, and then you're going to want to push down on the sensor and clean the two plates. In between the two metal plates, you're going to want to push this. I'm going to rearrange it. Let's see. Get it right underneath those two plates. There we go. There we go. Two plates right in between them. Wiggle that. Make sure everything's clean. We can stick that onto our Furby. I'm gonna let that dry for a second. Now, I will explain something really quickly. Usually, to replace the eyelash, I take the entire face off the Furby, take off the eyelids, put the eyelash on the eyelids, put the eyelids back on the Furby's face, and stick the entire face back on the Furby. However, this is a JT Furby, and that is extremely difficult to do with a JT Furby because this metal bar right here does not want to unhook. So I can't take off his face to put his eyelash back on, even though I want to, and it'd probably be the best way to do it. But I can do it another way, and I will show you right after I put his speaker back on. Let me see. I might hot glue that down. I'm gonna start that actually. I'll have my hot glue gun heating up in the background. Here's one screw. When you replace a Furby speaker, generally you don't need to replace the entire thing. You take the speaker out, you solder in a new replacement speaker, and then you plug it back in, which is actually kind of what I'm doing right now, never mind. But I swap out the speakers ahead of time. So I take a bunch of speakers, I put the replacement speaker in, and then I just plug in and plug out when it comes time to replace a Furby speaker. It saves me time, and it saves me headache to solder everything all at once. Let me just make sure there's space. All right, and his motor was sounding a little bit rough, so I've got my little applicator for motor oil. Let me just make sure it's all clean and dust free, right? And I've got my electric motor oil. They do not sell this anymore. I bought 2 bottles, and I have been living off that for the past 3 years. Furbies do not need a lot of oil. I'm going to pour him some new oil. I'm not going to use this much, but it spreads out in the container. There we go. You can get a look at it. Electric motor oil. It says all of these things, instructions. And then at the back you can see it's SAE20, which is the thickness, the viscosity of the oil. Not for automotive use. Definitely not. Special blend of whatever, sewing machine, blah blah blah. You get the idea. It works well for Furbies. Alright. And I have my tool. Alright. I'm going to pick up some with my little applicator here. I'm going to get the extra off the tip. And I'm going to hold onto this for a second because the rubber stopper in my hand heats up and pushes oil out when I don't want it to be out. So I'm going to wait for it to warm up, and then I'm going to use it on the Furby. Alright. This is perfect. You see that little red line on the motor? I line that up. I push this down, not terribly, and then just like a couple drops of oil straight down into that red line. Perfect. And then, oh dang it, I didn't notice. Usually you can get to his little gears right here, but that is boxed up. So I'm gonna have to turn the motor just a little bit from this side. Man, I don't want to hurt the motor. I really want to get the oil in there. I'm being real gentle. I'm not messing with any wires. It's not gonna hurt his motor. Usually I would turn the motor from over here, but I can't do that. And there's not another way. You can't push down on these. You don't have the strength for it. That's weird. But I'm going to make this turn a little bit. I'm going to let that soak into the bottom. Generally, you're not supposed to do this. You turn the cam gears down here to make the motor move, but I can't do that. That should be just fine. It should be soaked in. And now I'm going to get a little more oil. Fresh oil. I'm going to make sure there's none extra on the tip. I'm going to turn my boy over. That orange thing and the wall, you're going to want to slip that between. Careful. You don't want to push down on anything too much, and you're going to want to just going to want to squeeze a couple drops down in there. That'll go right where it needs to. And then spin the motor from here. Not over here. But I have to spin the motor to make sure the oil gets in there. And generally, if a Furby is experiencing a lot of noise when it comes to its motor, I will also lubricate its gears with, let me grab it, a tube. Oosh. This stuff. Silicone lubricating grease. It is a little bit thick and it causes the gears to slow down, but it really, really helps with noise. So if your Furby has a weak or slow motor, do not use this stuff on your Furby. If it has a weak or slow motor, do not use this stuff on your Furby. But if your Furby has a nice, healthy motor that's really loud, this stuff on its gears, not the motor, will help. And I'm not doing that with this Furby because he had a little bit of a struggle turning on. And now I'm going to go ahead and clean his back sensor, and then we will, what is it called? I will replace his eyelashes. A little bit of this on a rag, tear a piece off, shove it in between the two contacts. You don't have to worry about getting the alcohol on the motherboard because it doesn't do anything. And then you press down and wiggle that. Make sure that contact is clean, pull it through. There, that should be good. The outside's also kind of dirty, so I'm going to fix that right now. And it dries almost immediately. And now my hot glue gun is super hot. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that stays in there. Not a lot. I don't recommend touching the hot glue. I'm just doing that because I can. Don't touch the hot glue, folks. Get rid of those little extra strings. Alright, let's see. Oh, I also need to clean that cam right there. Well, that's not a cam. So, there's 2 contacts right there. That is his sink screw. Right, I need those to not be touching so that I can clean them. I'm going to spin this until they stop touching, and then I can clean it. It should be okay. I'm not messing with any wires. But this is going to take forever. Sorry, I've just been spinning this the whole time. But the cams are, they're not called cams, they're called something else, but they are no longer touching. So now I can clean them. Okay. Same old jazz. Here we go. I'm gonna get those 2 in there. Like you're brushing its teeth. If a Furby had teeth. Do some Furbies have teeth? I can't think of a Furby that has teeth. Are Furbies avian or are they mammals? Or are they some weird cross like the platypus? Existential question. I like to think that Furbies are mammals that lay eggs, because I can't really see them being birds. They don't have feathers, they have fur. Or maybe they have really thick fur. No, maybe they have really thick feathers like the penguin. That's nice and clean, and now I am just getting an extra speck of dust off, and I'm going to get ready to replace his eye. I'm going to turn off my hot glue gun because I don't need it anymore. Whoosh. Super glue. Good stuff. Let's see. Here's the piece of plastic that I'm going to be using. You can use paper too, but I like to use plastic. I'm going to... What? I'm going to trim the excess lubricant. No, not lubricant. The excess adhesive off his eyelash. And I'm going to cut it a little bit short to make my job easier. There we go. And I'm going to clean that. Again with the rubbing alcohol. You go through bottles and bottles of rubbing alcohol when you work with Furbies. Gotta clean that contact, and that's good. I'm gonna let that dry, and now I have to clean up inside the eyeball as well. He can't feel anything, don't worry, he's under anesthetic. Or is it anesthesia? One or the other. Go ahead and shove that in there. Clean underneath the eye. It helps everything stick better when everything's clean. After this, I get to turn him on and see how he sounds. See if the surgery was a success. Alright. Let me just make sure I got everything I need. I've got the eyelash, I haven't had to do this in a while. I've got the applicator, I've got the glue, and I've got the thing. This should be dry by now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a drop, just like a single, well maybe, yeah. I'm going to take I lied, 2 drops. Do not get this stuff on your hands, be really, really careful. If you have, I generally recommend taking the entire Furby's face off to do this, but I can't do it with JT Furbies, so I got to do this instead. Smear that around carefully. You don't need a ton to get the job done. There we go. Nerve-wracking bit. I hope nothing goes wrong. Alright, there's the eyelash, and then here's what the plastic is for. is to hold it in place while it's drying. Let me just make sure I've got it in the right place. Yeah. Ooh, this is nerve-wracking. There we go. And I'm going to hold that there for a couple seconds to let the glue set. Yes. You really should take the entire Furby's face off to reattach lashes, but I don't have a choice. If Furbies were a real pet, would they need their beaks trimmed? That should be good. Let me just make sure. Get that under there. Yeah, everything should be in place. Let me see. Can you still move your eyes? Yes. Okay. I'm not going to pull and check his eyelash immediately. I'm just going to let it be. But I can turn the Furby on now. Actually, I'm going to trim this lash a little bit. There we go. There we go. Okay, I think it went really well. So now I'm going to turn on the Furby. Because I was messing with his motor, he might be out of sync. So if he turns on and his movements are messed up, I will let him continue because I really don't want to hit his reset button right now. I got batteries, clean compartment, cleaned off his sensors, new eyelash. I'm going to hold him upside down. Oh, he sounds so much better. That's good. That's good. He's on time. Where are they? He's on time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with him. Hopefully I can put his skin back on now. Yeah. He sounds and looks so much better. You can see how much better his motor sounds. And obviously he is ill. He hasn't eaten anything in a while. Poor thing. He's probably been asleep since 2000. I'm gonna clap. All right, and I'm gonna check his new lash. That is not coming off. Let's see, I checked that sensor. That sensor's working well. That one just went off. Okay. His tongue sensor's good. I shook him. I turned him upside down. He's all good. Hey. I'm gonna test him more rigorously after I put his, what's it called? What is it called? His shell back on. I'm gonna test him and make sure he's all good before I put his skin back on. I'm not gonna put his skin back on camera because I've already made skinning videos and such on how to put the skin back on. So he's a personal Furby. He's never leaving my collection. My gosh, no. So I'm very happy with how he's functioning, and I'm really happy to have this Furby. And he's gonna feel better in my care. So here's my Furby shut up stick. Ooh. Point at Furby, press button. There we go. And now I'm going to take his batteries out and put his shell back on. Where is it? There it is. I have a little piece of foam that keeps my batteries separated. I have that shut up stick because it's a lot easier to take their batteries out when they're not awake. It's also, I like to think, less risky too. There we go. Nice clean pack. I am going to do a little extra something really quickly. Let me take some Q-tips and some rubbing alcohol. And I'm going to clean these two little bits down here while he's open. Just to make sure everything's in order. Let me check the other side. These are the contacts that make the Furby turn on. So if these aren't clean, he's not turning on at all. I mean, obviously he can turn on, but I want them to be extra clean. I'm going to make sure all the little dangly bits like that are not going to affect him. I'm going to remove the extra glue so that it can't come loose in the future and mess with him. I'm going to make sure he's all clean. Let me see. That looks good. That's not going anywhere. He's clean. Now I can put his shell back on. All right, I like to put this side on first so I can take his sound sensor and gently shove it in there. and then put his ear through that hole and close everything up like that. Align those two bits, and then I'll put, oh yes, make sure the base of the Furby is loose and can wiggle, because if it can't, then you've got the base outside of the shell and something's wrong. I gotta put those two together. Then I'll put on this part of the shell. Gently wiggle, don't want to break anything. Make sure it all goes together nicely. I think that wire was out there before. I just want to make sure that this Furby's going to be okay. So what am I going to do about it? I'm going to... Did I unplug this? I'm going to... What am I going to do? That's a bit loose, and I don't want that to be loose. So I'm going to plug in my hot glue gun again. And I gotta wait for that to heat up, but what I'm going to do is apply a little bit of glue here, and a little bit of glue here, and maybe even a little bit down there, just to make sure those wires can't come out of place. And then his repair will be over. I'll put on his shell, and wow, I just fixed a Kid Cuisine Furby. So let's wait for this thing to heat up. It has heated up. Okay, I'm gonna do this carefully. I do not want to gum up this sensor, so I'm gonna place a little bit here. Shouldn't get in the way of anything. Let me see, I'm gonna put a little bit above the sensor, just a little bit, to keep it from rocking. And then I'm going to place a little bit in the wires underneath. It's okay if hot glue gets on the board. It's not going to affect the flow of electricity. But what you really don't want to be doing here, you do not want to gum up the sensor. There, those wires shouldn't be going anywhere. And you can see all the little spider webs. I'll take care of those right now. Let me see. I'm going to grab that spider web. I'm going to grab those spider webs.